What if the moment someone ignores you is the exact moment you're set free? Think about it. We've all felt that ache. Someone who was once close suddenly drifts away. No words, no reasons, just silence. It stings. It creeps into your mind, makes you question your worth, traps you in a spiral of doubt. I've been there too, wondering why they pulled back, feeling that hollow confusion. But here's the promise. Today, I'll show you how resilience turns that silence into strength, how it hands you clarity, control, and a peace that nothing can shake. Because when people fade, it's not always about you, it's about them. And with Stoic wisdom, you can rise above it. In this video, we'll uncover 7 Stoic lessons that reveal why people drift and how you can stand tall through it all. Starting with the most powerful truth first, one that might flip everything you've ever thought about rejection. Here's the twist. Their absence could be the greatest gift you never asked for. A chance to grow, to breathe, to find yourself. I know how it feels when someone walks away. That sting, it's real. But stick with me, because by the end, you'll see how to stay resilient, how to turn their silence into your power. Let's dive in. Your growth reveals their limits. Have you ever wondered why some people slip away just as you begin to shine? It's a quiet fade. One day, they're right there, laughing with you, celebrating your small wins. The next, they're gone. No explanation, no farewell, just an empty space where their presence used to be. I've felt it. That sudden chill when someone I trusted drifted off. We've all been there, staring into that silence, wondering where we went wrong. But here's where Stoicism lights the path. When your growth outpaces theirs, it's not rejection. It's a mirror they can't face. And resilience, that's what keeps you steady while they slip away. Let's dig into this. People don't always leave because they dislike you. Sometimes, they leave because your progress casts a shadow they can't ignore. Think about it. You start chasing dreams, breaking old patterns, becoming stronger, wiser, more alive. That's growth, and it's powerful. But for some, it's unsettling. You were once familiar, predictable, on their level. Now you're climbing, reaching beyond what they know. Stoicism teaches us this isn't your fault. It's just how things unfold. Some will rise with you, others won't. And that's not your burden to bear. It's a truth you embrace. Your light doesn't dim to suit their comfort. It burns bright and bold, and they decide whether to bask in it or turn away. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That lands heavy here. Their retreat, their silence. That's an event you can't control. You can't force them to stay. You can't make them match your pace. But your mind, that's your domain. Your resilience, that's your anchor. When they pull back, it's not a cue to shrink. It's a call to stand taller, to keep growing, no matter who watches or who walks off. Because your path isn't theirs to shape. It's yours to forge, with courage, with purpose, with unwavering focus. Picture this. Imagine 2 trees in a forest. One stretches toward the sun, its branches climbing higher each day, drinking in the light. The other stays low, rooted in shadow, still, safe. The taller tree isn't wrong, it's thriving. I've lived this. I had a colleague once, a friend, really. We'd grab coffee, swap stories, cheer each other on. When I landed my first big project, they were there. "You've got this," they said, their grin wide, their energy warm. I felt unstoppable. But then I kept pushing. Late nights turned into new goals, new skills, a vision bigger than I'd ever dared to dream. And slowly, their texts faded. No fights, no goodbyes, just quiet. At first, I thought I'd messed up. Maybe I'd bragged too much or seemed too driven. I replayed every moment, every laugh, searching for the crack. Did I say something off? Was I too loud about my wins? But then it hit me. My growth wasn't the problem. It was their mirror. They weren't ready to stretch, so they stepped back instead. It hurt. Oh, it hurt. We've all felt that ache, when someone you care about drifts away, just as you're starting to soar. So what do? Focus on your path. That's the Stoic way. Take a moment today. Ask yourself, am I dimming my light to fit their shade? Let that settle. It's a simple question, but it cuts through the fog. If you're holding back, stop. Your growth demands resilience. Not everyone will climb with you, and that's not your load to lift. You're not here to shrink for their ease. You're here to rise, to reach, to become. Their choice to stay small, that's theirs, not yours. Let them go, not with anger, but with clarity. Because here's the shocker. They're not rejecting you. They're running from their own mirror. Your progress isn't pushing them away. It's showing them what they could be if they dared. And some, they just won't dare. Have you lost someone when you started leveling up? A friend, a co-worker, someone who faded as you grew? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your story, because this happens to us all. It's tough, I know. When your progress pushes people away, it feels like a wound. We've all felt that sting, that quiet pang when the warmth turns cold. But Stoicism flips it. It's not a wound, it's a filter, a chance to see who's truly with you and who's just along for the shade. So keep growing, keep stretching, because the ones who stay, they're the ones worth keeping. The ones who drift, they're clearing space for something truer. But what if their silence is testing something deeper? What if it's not just about growth, but about power? Let's find out. They're probing your dependence. What if someone's silence isn't random? What if it's a quiet pull to see how far you'll reach? We've all felt that shift. Someone goes cold, and suddenly you're left wondering, did I say something wrong? Should I check in? I've been there, staring at a silent phone. That little knot tightening in my chest. It's human to feel that pull, that urge to fix things. But Stoicism offers a different lens. Sometimes they're not just drifting, they're testing your need, your dependence, your willingness to chase, and how to stay resilient. That's your strength. Here's the core of it. Some people don't fade because they've lost interest. They fade to watch what you'll do. It's subtle, almost sneaky. One day they're warm, engaged, lighting up your world with their presence. The next, nothing. No replies, no calls, just an empty space. And in that emptiness, they're waiting. Will you text again? Will you beg for a response? Will you prove they hold the power? It's a test, a quiet game of control. Stoicism cuts through this haze. It says, don't play. Your worth isn't tied to their whims. Your resilience, it's forged in standing still, not scrambling to pull them back. Because when they step away, it's not about losing them, it's about finding you. Epictetus taught us, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It's won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. That's the heart of this, their silence, their choice to pull back. That's outside your grasp. Chasing won't change it. Explaining yourself won't shift it. But freedom, that's yours to take. Freedom from their strings, from their tests. When they go quiet, they're not just testing your care, they're probing your chains. And Stoicism says, let those chains fall. Don't cling, don't plead. Learn how to stay resilient by choosing stillness, by knowing your value doesn't hinge on their nod. That's where true power lies, not in their game, but in your calm. I've seen this unfold. I once had a friend, someone I'd lean on during late-night talks, swapping stories, sharing life's ups and downs. They were steady, reliable, until they weren't. Every time I got busy with work, buried in deadlines, chasing my own path, they'd go quiet. No texts, no check-ins, just silence. At first, I'd reach out. Hey, everything okay? I'd type, my fingers hesitating over the send button. I'd wait, hoping for a reply, that little ping to ease the unease, but nothing. Days would pass, and I'd feel it, that tug to fix it, to bridge the gap. We've all felt that urge, that instinct to patch things up when they fray. But then I noticed something. When I didn't chase, when I let the silence sit, they'd come back, like clockwork. A casual, hey, how's it going? As if nothing had happened. It hit me then. They weren't drifting, they were testing if I'd run after them, if I'd prove they mattered more than my own peace. And when I stopped, they lost the game. So here's what you do. Next time someone pulls away, pause. Don't text twice. Don't call. See how to stay resilient by standing still. Take a breath. Let the silence settle. And ask yourself, do I need their voice to feel whole? The answer's no, you don't. Their absence isn't your loss, it's their move. And your stillness, that's your strength. Try it today. When that urge to chase kicks in, resist. Sit with it. Let it pass. Because what if their game ends when you learn how to stay resilient? That's the Stoic way, not bending to their pull, but standing firm in your own roots. You're not here to prove your worth to them. You're here to know it for yourself. Surprise, not reacting, is your strongest move. It flips the power dynamic. They expect you to scramble, to plead, to show they hold the reins. But when you don't, when you let the rope drop, the game collapses. They're left holding nothing while you walk free. That's the twist Stoicism hands you. Strength isn't in chasing, it's in releasing, in choosing your peace over their play. It's counterintuitive, almost radical. We're wired to fix, to mend, to pull people back. But Stoicism says, let them go. Their test only works if you take the bait. Don't, and watch what happens. Ever notice someone come back when you stop chasing? Maybe a friend, a partner, someone who reappears the moment you let go. Tell me below. I'd love to hear your story, because this pattern runs deep. It's human, messy, real. We've all seen it play out. someone fading, only to circle back when the chase ends. It's a quiet dance, one we don't always see until we step back. So share it. Let's learn from each other, because when we talk about it, we see the truth clearer. Our power isn't in their hands, it's in ours. We've all felt that urge to fix things, that pull to make it right. It's human. I've sat with that itch, that restless need to reach out, to fill the silence with something, anything. It's hard to let it be. But Stoicism teaches us that's where growth lies, in the pause, in the stillness. When they test you, they're not just probing your dependence, they're showing you your strength. So stand tall, don't bend. Because resilience isn't loud, it's quiet, steady, unshakable. Now, why people drift might not always be a game. Sometimes it's simpler. Let's dive in. They've used what they needed. Have you ever noticed how some people vanish the moment they don't need you anymore? It's a silent exit. One day they're close, leaning on you, soaking up your time or wisdom. The next, they're nowhere. No goodbye, just a void where they once stood. I've felt that shift, that quiet sting when someone I helped just faded away. We've all been there, left wondering why the warmth turned cold. But Stoicism shines a light here. Sometimes people leave when they no longer gain from you. It's a transactional truth. Knowing why people drift builds resilience, because you don't have to chase what was never real. Let's unpack this. Not everyone drifts because of games or growth. Some drift because their connection was a trade, not a bond. It's simple, but sharp. When you're useful, offering advice, support, a shoulder, they stay. They're present, engaged, pulling from what you give. But when their need fades, when they've taken what they came for, so do they. Stoicism doesn't flinch at this. It says, see it for what it is. People can be fleeting, tied to what serves them, and that's okay. Your worth isn't measured by their stay. It's forged in your ability to let go. Understanding why people drift isn't about blame. It's about clarity. It's about building resilience, so you stop pouring into one-way ties. Seneca wrote, associate with those who will make you better, not those who only take. That cuts deep. He's not saying cut everyone off. He's saying choose wisely. Look at who's around you. Are they here to grow with you, or just to graze? When someone drifts after they've gotten what they needed, it's not a loss, it's a lesson. Stoicism teaches us, don't cling to what's temporary. Don't tie your value to their presence. Their exit isn't about you failing, it's about them finishing. And your strength lies in seeing that, in letting it pass, in standing firm without their weight. I've lived this. A neighbor once leaned on me hard during tough times. They'd knock on my door, late evenings, spilling their worries over coffee. What should I do? They'd ask, their voice shaky, their eyes searching. I'd listen, offer advice, sit with them through the storm. It felt good to help, to be there. They'd thank me, say I was a rock, a lifeline, and I believed it meant something. But then their life stabilized. The chaos cleared. The job came through. The pieces fell into place. And with that, so did their silence. No more knocks, no more calls, just quiet. At first, I wondered what I'd done. Did I overstep? Was I too much? I replayed those nights, those talks, looking for the flaw. It hurt to feel used, to see the connection vanish once I wasn't needed. We've all been there, questioning ourselves, wondering what went wrong when the giving stopped. So what's the step? Spot the pattern. That's the Stoic move. Look at them. Ask yourself, are they only here when they need something? Be honest. It's not about judgment, it's about truth. If they show up only to take, let them go. Don't chase, don't plead. Release them, not with anger, but with peace. Because understanding why people drift builds resilience. You stop feeding one-way ties. Try it today. Think of someone in your life, someone who's flickered in and out. When did they shine brightest? When you gave, or when they grew? If it's the former, loosen your grip. You're not a well to be drained. You're a tree to grow tall. Their leaving doesn't shrink you, it frees you. Here's the kicker. Their exit proves they were guests, not friends. That's the twist. You'd think it's a bond breaking, a rift widening. But Stoicism says, no. They were visitors, stopping by for what they could carry. When the shelves emptied, they moved on. It's not a betrayal, it's a reveal. They didn't value you. They valued your utility. And when that's gone, so are they. It's stark, almost cold, but it's liberating too. Because once you see it, you stop pouring into what won't hold. You save your water for soil that grows, not sand that slips. Who's vanished when you stopped giving? A friend, a family member, someone who dimmed when the flow dried up? I'd love to hear. Drop it in the comments, because this runs through all our lives. We give, we care, we build, and sometimes they take and go. It's raw, real, human. Sharing it helps us see we're not alone in this. We learn together. We grow together. So tell me your story. When did someone drift after the giving stopped? Let's shine a light on it. Together. It hurts to feel used. I've been there, wondering what I did wrong. Those late nights, those open doors, they felt so real. And then the silence hits, and you're left picking up the pieces. We've all carried that weight, that quiet ache when you realize it was one-sided. But Stoicism lifts it. It says, you didn't fail, they finished. Their leaving isn't your flaw, it's their limit. So stand steady, let them drift. Because resilience isn't in holding on, it's in letting go, in knowing your roots run deeper than their reach. But what about when you stop playing along? That's next. You've cut their strings. What happens when you stop dancing to someone else's tune? It's a subtle shift. One day, they're pulling you along, expecting you to bend. The next, they're gone. No fuss, just silence. I've felt that push, that quiet pressure to give in, and the stillness when I didn't. We've all been there, caught in someone's grip, until we break free. And here's where Stoicism steps in. When you reject manipulation, controllers fade away. Embrace change to find peace, because their absence isn't loss, it's liberation. Let's look at this. Some people don't drift because they've used you up or can't keep up. They drift because you've stopped playing their game. It's about control. They thrive on it, on guilt trips, subtle jabs, the way they nudge you into place. As long as you follow their script, they stay. They're close, comfortable, pulling strings you didn't even see. But when you say no, when you set a line, they unravel. Stoicism sees this clear. It's not about you failing them, it's about you claiming you. Your strength isn't in pleasing them, it's in standing firm. When you embrace change, when you cut those strings, you find peace, not in their approval, but in your own roots. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." That's sharp. He's not talking vengeance with fists or words, he's talking character. When someone tries to puppet you, to bend you with guilt or shame, the strongest move is to be different, to rise above, not to fight back, but to step out. Their injury, their control, only works if you let it. Stoicism hands you this: don't mirror their game. Don't tug back, cut the strings and watch them drift. Because your peace doesn't come from winning their battle, it comes from walking your path, unshaken, free. I've lived this. I had a family member, someone close, who mastered the guilt trip. Every favor was a hook. "You're the only one I can count on," they'd say, their voice soft, their eyes pleading. Need a ride across town? I'd drop everything. A late-night vent? I'd listen. It felt like duty, like love, but it piled up. Every yes was expected, every hesitation met with a sigh, a jab. "I guess I'll manage alone," they'd mutter, and I'd cave. For years, I danced to it, kept the peace, kept them close, until one day, I stopped. I set a boundary. "I can't this time," I said, calm, firm. No explanation, just no. And the calls stopped. No arguments, no pleas, just silence. At first, I felt the weight. Did I break something? Was I too harsh? Standing firm is hard when they push back. I get it. We've all felt that tug, that pull to smooth it over. But then I saw it. They didn't need me. They needed my strings. And when I cut them, they left. So here's the move. Embrace change. Say no once and watch who stays. That's the Stoic step. Try it today. Pick a moment, a small ask, and hold your ground. Don't explain. Don't soften it. Just say it and see. Who sticks around? Who fades? Because embrace change to find peace. Their absence is your freedom. It's not about cutting everyone off. It's about cutting the chains. You're not here to be pulled, to be shaped by their whims. You're here to stand, to breathe, to be. Their drift isn't your failure, it's your release. Let them go, not with spite, but with calm, because your roots don't need their weight. Shockingly, losing them feels like shedding chains. That's the twist. You'd think it's a rift, a wound, a loss to mourn. But Stoicism flips it. When they fade, when their grip slips, it's not heavy, it's light, like dropping a load you didn't know you carried. Their control, their strings, they bind you tighter than you see, and when they're gone, you stand straighter. It's wild, almost strange. We're taught to hold on, to fix, to keep. But Stoicism says, let go. Their exit isn't punishment, it's relief. You don't lose a puppet master, you gain yourself. And that peace, it's quieter, deeper, truer. Have boundaries ever cost you a relationship? A friend, a relative, someone who drifted when you stood firm? Share your story. I'd love to hear it, because this hits us all. We set a line, and some cross it, some walk away. It's real, raw, human. Telling it connects us, shows us we're not alone. So drop it below. When did a no change things for you? What did it teach you? Let's learn from it together, because every story, every cut string, it's a step towards something stronger. Standing firm is hard when they push back. I get it. I've felt that pull, that ache to give in, to keep the peace at my own cost. We've all wrestled with it, that guilt, that whisper saying you're the bad one. It's heavy, but Stoicism lifts it. It says, you're not wrong for choosing you. Their fade isn't your fault, it's their limit. When you embrace change, when you cut those ties, you don't just survive, you thrive. So hold your ground, let them drift, because peace isn't in their hands, it's in yours, steady, whole. And what if their exit exposes more than you think? Let's see. You've seen through their mask. What if the moment you see someone's true face is the moment they disappear? It's a quiet unraveling. One day they're weaving their story, spinning you into their world. The next, they're gone. No clash, just a shadow fading. I've felt that jolt, that tremor when the mask slips and the truth stares back. We've all been there, piecing together the cracks, wondering how we missed it. But Stoicism steps in here. Truth drives away those who thrive on deception. What if their mask slips and resilience keeps you steady? That's where your power lies. Let's strip this down. Some don't drift because of need or control. They drift because you've seen them, really seen them. Not the front they show, but the core they hide. They live on half-truths, little lies, a shimmer of charm to keep you close. As long as you buy the act, they stay. They're warm, present, painting a picture you trust. But when you spot the seams, when you call it out, they can't stand the light. Stoicism cuts to the bone here. It's not about you breaking them, it's about you breaking through. Truth doesn't bend, it reveals. And when it does, those who lean on deception run. Your resilience isn't in fixing them, it's in facing what's real, unflinching, whole. Epictetus noted, what need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears. That's raw. He's not saying wallow in every loss. He's saying, see it all. Life's messy, flawed, full of masks. Don't cry over one slipping. Accept the bigger picture. When someone drifts because you've seen their truth, it's not a tragedy to mourn. It's a piece of the chaos, a shard of the whole. Stoicism says, don't chase the mirage. Don't grieve the lie. Stand in the clarity. Let it sharpen you. Because what if their exit isn't your failure, but your freedom? That's the strength here, not in holding illusions, but in letting them fall. I've walked this. A coworker once spun tales like thread, smooth, seamless, pulling me in. They'd lean over my desk, voice low. You won't believe what happened. Stories of struggle, of wins, of secrets they swore only I could hear. I nodded, listened, bought it. They seemed real, close, a teammate I trusted. But then cracks showed. A detail didn't fit. A date shifted. A promise unraveled. So one day I asked one direct question, calm, simple. What really happened there? Their eyes flickered. Their smile tightened. Oh, you know, it's complicated, they dodged, their voice thin. I didn't push, just watched. And after that, they avoided me. No more chats, no more tales, just distance. At first, It shook me, seeing the real them, the dodge, the mask peeling off. It rattled me. I wondered if I'd been too blunt, too cold. We've all felt that wobble when the curtain drops and you're left staring at what's behind. I've been there too, picking through the pieces, doubting myself. So what's the move? Trust your instincts. Don't fear the clarity truth brings. That's the Stoic way. When you sense the shift, when the story frays, lean in. Ask the question. Look closer. Not to wound, but to know. Try it today. Next time someone spins a tale, pause. Feel it out. Does it hold? If it doesn't, speak. Quietly, firmly. See what breaks. Because resilience isn't in swallowing the lie. It's in standing with the truth, even when it clears the room. You're not here to prop up their act. You're here to see, to sift, to stay steady. Their drift isn't your loss, it's your lens sharpening. Here's the twist. You didn't lose them. They lost their cover. That's the surprise. You'd think it's a bond snapping, a tie cut. But Stoicism flips it. When they flee because you've seen through, it's not your defeat. It's theirs. They didn't leave you. They left their stage. Their mask was their shield, their game, their hold. And when it slipped, they had nothing left to play. It's stark, almost jarring. We're wired to mourn the drift, to feel the sting. But Stoicism says, no, you've gained ground. You've shed a shadow. Their exit isn't your wound. It's their nakedness and your clarity. Ever caught someone's true colors? A friend, a colleague, someone whose mask fell and took them with it? Let's talk about it. Drop it in the comments, because this runs deep. We've all glimpsed it. That moment the paint peels and the real shows through. It's heavy, human, real. Sharing it lights it up. So tell me, when did you see through? What did it shift? Let's unpack it together. Learn from it together. Because every unmasking, every drift, it's a chance to see truer, to stand stronger. Seeing the real them can shake you. I felt that too. I sat with that co-worker's dodge, that quick fade, and it rattled me. We've all carried that tremor, that jolt when the story cracks and the truth spills out. It's unsteadying, raw. You question what you trusted, what you built. But Stoicism steadies it. It says, you're not wrong for seeing. Their flight isn't your flaw, it's their fracture. When the mask slips, when they drift, you don't crumble, you rise. What if their exit is your anchor, and resilience keeps you firm? That's the gift here, not in their lie, but in your sight. But why people drift might not always be about them. Sometimes it's bigger. Let's dig in. They're swayed by shadows. Have you ever lost someone? Not to your words, but to someone else's? It's a quiet sting. One moment they're with you, warm, steady. The next, they're distant, cold, as if you're a stranger. I've felt that drift, that ache when whispers pull them away. We've all been there, watching a bond fade, wondering why the air changed. But Stoicism offers a lens. Sometimes, why people drift isn't about you, it's about their weakness. Weak minds turn from you under others' influence. Find peace in that truth, because it's not your weight to carry. Let's cut through this. Not every drift comes from masks or games. Some come from sway, from shadows cast by others. They don't see you through their own eyes, they borrow someone else's. A rumor, a whisper, a slant they don't question. One day you're solid, the next you're suspect, all because of noise they chose to hear. Stoicism doesn't flinch here. It says, that's their frailty, not your flaw. A strong mind seeks truth, asks, weighs. A weak one bends to the wind, drifts with the chatter. Why people drift often lies in their softness, not your misstep. Your peace isn't in winning them back, it's in letting their roots show, shallow or deep. Seneca said, no person has the power to have everything they want, but it is in their power not to want what they don't have. That's sharp, and it fits. They can't control the rumors, the voices, the sway, but they can control what they chase, what they cling to. When they turn from you, swayed by shadows, it's not about lacking power, it's about lacking will. They want what's easy, what's fed to them, not what's true. Stoicism hands you this. Don't crave their return. Don't fight the wind. See it, accept it, stand steady, because peace comes from releasing what bends, not from bending with it. I've seen this play out. A friend once stood close, a steady presence at work. We'd share lunches, swap ideas, lean on each other through the grind. They'd laugh, nod, say, "You're the real deal." I felt it too, that ease, that trust. Then rumors spread, whispers about me, small, slippery, half true. Someone said I'd stepped over, taken credit, played a game I didn't play. I didn't hear it at first, just felt the chill. Their replies slowed, their eyes dodged, their warmth froze. One day, over coffee, I asked, "What's up?" They shrugged, mumbled, "Just heard some stuff." They never asked me, never checked, just listened to the noise. And after that, they grew cold. No fight, no words, just distance. It's frustrating when whispers win. I've been there, replaying it, wishing they'd asked. We've all felt that pull to explain, to set it right, when they won't even look your way. So what do? Don't chase doubters, let their loyalty show itself. That's the Stoic move. Step back, watch. Who asks you? Who stays? Try it today. Next time someone drifts, don't run after them. Don't plead your case. Let the silence sit. Let their choice surface. Because why people drift often lies in their weakness. Find peace in that truth. You're not here to convince the swayed, to shout over shadows. You're here to stand, to see, to know. Their turning isn't your burden. It's their mirror. Release it, not with bitterness, but with calm, because your strength shines when you don't bend. Surprise, their sway proves they were never rooted with you. That's the twist. You'd think it's a bond breaking, a loss to mend. But Stoicism says, no. When they drift with the wind, it's not your tie snapping, it's their ground giving. They weren't planted, they were perched, ready to shift with the next breeze. It's jarring, almost freeing. We build on trust, on closeness, and assume it's firm. But when whispers turn them, it shows they weren't with you, they were near you. Their exit isn't your uprooting, it's their lightness, and your steadiness shines brighter. Has gossip ever shifted a friendship for you? A co-worker, a confidant, someone who turned on a rumor's dime? Comment below. I'd love to hear it, because this cuts through us all. Whispers weave, and ties fray. It's real, messy, human. Sharing it helps us see we're not alone in the drift. So drop your story. When did the noise win? What did it show you? Let's unpack it, learn from it, together. Every sway, every fade, it's a thread in the bigger weave. It's frustrating when whispers win. I've been there. I sat with that friend's coldness, that quiet fade, and it gnawed at me. We've all carried that itch to fix, to shout your truth when they won't hear. It's heavy, unfair. You wonder why they didn't ask, why they chose the echo over you. But Stoicism lifts it. It says, you don't need their ear. Their sway isn't your fault. It's their softness. When they bend to shadows, you don't chase. You stand. Peace isn't in their grip. It's in your roots. Deep, unshaken. Finally, let's see how to stay resilient through it all. Their silence is your space. What if the silence you dread is the space you need? It's a quiet shift. One day they're there, filling your world with noise, with presence. The next, they're gone. No words, just stillness. I've felt that void, that empty stretch when someone fades away. We've all been there, staring into the quiet, feeling it press against us. But Stoicism turns this around. Being ignored isn't a curse, it's a clearing, a Stoic blessing. Learn how to stay resilient and watch new growth emerge, because when they drift, they're making room for what matters. Let's look at this. We've traced the whys: growth, games, masks, sway. But here's the deeper cut. Sometimes their silence isn't a wound, it's a gift. It stings at first, sure. You feel the absence, the echo of where they stood. But Stoicism says, don't mourn it, see it. When they go quiet, when they pull back, they're not just leaving, they're opening a door, a space for you to breathe, to build, to become. It's not about what's lost, it's about what's left. Your growth doesn't shrink in their absence, it stretches. Your resilience doesn't falter, it roots deeper. Because life isn't about clutching every tie, it's about tending the ones that thrive and letting the rest fall away. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself." That's the core. Happiness, fullness. It's not in their voices, their nods, their stay. It's in you. When they drift, they take their noise, their weight, their pull. And what's left? You. Your mind, your will, your space. Stoicism hands you this. Don't chase the echo. Don't fill the gap with what's gone. Stand in it. Shape it. Let it grow. Their silence isn't your lack. It's your canvas. A chance to strip down, to see clear, to build truer. Because growth doesn't need their shadow, it needs your light. I've lived this. I lost a group of friends after moving to a new city. We'd been tight, years of late nights, shared laughs, a rhythm I leaned on. When I packed up, they promised to stay close. "We'll visit," they said, their hugs tight, their words warm. I believed it, but the calls thinned, the texts slowed, the plans faded. Months in, it was just me, in a new place, with their silence ringing loud, that empty feeling. I felt it too, that hollow ache, that pull to reach back, to hold on. At first, I mourned it. scrolled old photos, replayed old talks, wondered why they let go. But then, that space shifted. I met new people, quiet talks over coffee, walks with souls who saw me fresh. That silence, it didn't break me, it built me. Deeper ties grew where the old ones fell. We've all carried that pang when the familiar fades and the new feels far. So here's the step: how to stay resilient. Reflect today. What's growing in their absence? That's the Stoic move. Take a moment. Sit with it. Ask yourself, what's taken root since they left? A habit, a bond, a stillness you didn't know you craved. Try it now. Look back. See the shoots. Because growth doesn't stall when they drift. It starts. You're not here to cling to what was. You're here to tend what is, to let new branches rise. Their silence isn't your end. It's your soil. Don't fear it. Don't fight it. Plant in it. Learn how to stay resilient and watch new growth emerge. That's the strength, not in their stay, but in your stretch. Here's the secret. Silence isn't loss. It's a reset. That's the surprise. We're taught to dread it, to see it as a hole, a failure. But Stoicism flips it. When they go quiet, it's not a tear, it's a clearing, a slate wiped clean, a chance to start fresh. It's wild, almost gentle. We brace for the pain, the lack, the sting. But when you lean in, it's light. Their absence doesn't shrink you, it opens you. Like a room aired out, a weight lifted, a breath you didn't know you held. It's not about losing them, it's about finding you. And that reset, that's where growth begins, where resilience takes hold. What's bloomed since someone left your life? A friendship, a passion, a quiet you didn't expect? Share it. Drop it in the comments. Because this happens to us all. They drift, and something rises. It's real, raw, beautiful. Telling it connects us, shows us the green in the gaps. So let me hear it. What grew when they went silent? What did their space give you? Let's see it. Learn from it. Together. Every fade, every clearing. It's a seed we didn't plant, but one we can nurture. That empty feeling? I felt it too, but it passes. I sat with that quiet, that stretch after they left, and it weighed heavy. We've all known it. That pull to fill it, to pull them back, to make it full again. It's human, tender, tough. You wonder if you're enough, if the silence means you're less. But Stoicism shifts it. It says, you're not less, you're more. Their drift isn't your lack, it's your room. It hurts, sure, but it heals, it passes, and what's left, it grows. So stand in it, breathe in it, because resilience isn't loud, it's quiet, steady, and it blooms where they don't. So here we are, at the end of this journey. We've walked through 7 Stoic truths together. How your growth reveals limits, how tests fade with resilience, how silence, it carves space for peace. People drift, they sway, they slip away. But you don't have to sink. You rise. That's the thread tying it all together. Their leaving isn't your fall, it's your footing. In Stoicism, resilience is your anchor. It's not about clutching every thread. It's not about bending to every pull. It's simpler, deeper, Control your mind. Embrace change. Let go of what doesn't serve you. That's the heart of it. When they fade, when the noise quiets, you're left with what's real, you, your strength, your peace. And that's enough, more than enough. Here's something small to carry forward. Take 1 minute today, just one. Ask yourself, what can I control here? Sit with it, feel it. That's where your power begins, right there, in that quiet question. Or maybe reflect on how to stay resilient. What's growing where they left? A moment of stillness, a new route, a clearer you. Start there. It's simple, but it shifts everything. If this sparked something in you, hit like, subscribe. Let's keep this going. More Stoic wisdom, more steps to stand tall. Share this with someone who needs it, someone drifting in their own silence. And drop your thoughts below. How do you stay resilient? What's held you steady when others slipped away? I want to hear it. Your voice, your story. Let's keep learning, growing, together on Stoic Teachings today. Because this isn't the end, it's a beginning. Their silence, your space. What will you build in it? See you in the next one.